Thank you, Mr. President. So we've all had a night to spend considering our last few minutes together last night, and I've thought long and hard about what I want to say this morning after last night's debate. And I ask everyone to listen carefully to all my comments, not just the ones that you initially agree with, and I don't anticipate anyone to agree with all my comments, but I'm asking everyone to actively listen with the goal to understand your colleagues who do not share your views. At the end of my comments, I do have a big ask for all of you, and I hope everyone can carefully consider what is best for the institution. First, I want to apologize to Senator Michaela Cavanaugh, every other member of this body, but especially the female senators. I do not condone the reading of the graphic rape scene on the floor of the legislature, nor do I condone personally directing that passage to another member or members of this legislature, even if it is to make a point. Despite the R-rated warning, we do not know who was on the other side of the television screen watching and listening, certainly children, that this bill is directed to protect, not to mention survivors of sexual assault. I know it upset members of this body, but we cannot dismiss this simply as a public forum and broadcast live across the state of Nebraska. I was off the floor when the passage was read. I was in my office preparing today's agenda, so I did not hear it personally. Had I been on the floor, I hopefully would have learned of the intent to read from that transcript, done everything to prevent that from happening. I was not able to do that. I don't want to minimize this incident, but this is not the first inappropriate incident to occur on this floor, and unfortunately, I have no hope that it will be the last. These things do happen occasionally. However, second, we cannot let this derail our session, nor can we collectively decide and simply that this was inappropriate and move on. Make no mistake, I intend to vote for LB 441, but I'm separating my views on the bill from what's appropriate for debate. At the beginning of the session, I asked each of you to reset, and I believe as a legislature we have. I see people working with others, trying to find compromise. Members are working their bills. The tone and tenor of debate has been different this year. We cannot allow this to define the remainder of the session. But I do want to give you my perspective on the remainder of the session, and that is this. We have approximately one half of the priority bills out of 103. There's approximately 54 that sit on general file. Let that sink in for a second. Half. So we are no more than half finished with moving and debating our priority bills on general file. So here's what I would ask. This is my ask. If we are serious about getting this work done and the priority bills that are in front of us, I would ask, number one, that we do not slow walk non-controversial bills. That has occurred this session. I've watched it happen. Some of it has to do with what's coming up on the agenda, and I get it. But please do not slow walk non-controversial bills. We don't have the time to do that. We need, if they're non-controversial, we need to have good debate. We need to take our votes. We need to move on. We need to move the bill. Second, I would ask, please do not make everything controversial. And that goes for the proponents and the opponents of the bill. It can come from either side. In other words, there's something in this bill that I really don't like, so take the bill down. So to both the proponents and opponents of bills, I would strongly encourage you, ask you earnestly, work on compromise. Find a way to move the bill if that's possible. May not be. There are those bills that are not. I get it. But if it is possible, seek. Don't just count votes. That happens. Do not just count votes. Work to address opposition. And the last thing I would ask, is that we all use wisdom in our free speech. We have the right. Doesn't mean we should use the right. Wisdom. That's that ability to use knowledge correctly. We gather a lot of knowledge, hearings, and reading, research, and conversations, and our constituents, and the lobby. We're gaining a lot of knowledge. Now, how do we use that knowledge is the part of wisdom. Wisdom tempers free speech, especially after 6 p.m. when we're tired, and it takes additional effort for that to happen. So those are my asks. Now, this morning, some people are going to speak, and we're going to give others opportunity to speak. How it's going to be structured is there's going to be a couple point of personal privilege. Senator DeBoer is going to make a motion to overrule the agenda, the speaker's agenda, which is not a hostile motion. It's something that I think is appropriate. And then if you have a desire, not required, if you want to speak, then that will be an opportunity for you to speak. So we want to give that opportunity, but don't need to belabor it. But my ask is that we don't allow last night to define the remainder of our session, that we're able to do the work and continue the good work that we have begun at the beginning of this session. Thank you, Mr. President.